Gotta stay hydrated. Hey there, I'm so glad you're here with me today because we are going to cover a bunch of ways to paint just about any kind of laser project that you might be making. And if you're thinking about making something, I hope this can inspire you to make something colorful and beautiful and giftable and awesome. So let's get into 5 different projects that we're going to be covering today and all the various different ways we're going to paint them. First, we're going to be taking our handy honeycomb pins to keep this in place while we etch and cut. We're going to be etching on both sides, so we don't want it to move around using just some masking tape. I'm going to pop this out and flip it over so everything is nice and centered. And once the other side is all etched out, we are ready to paint this piece. I'm going to be using 2 kinds of paint. On the front side where it says Laser Lady, I'm going to be using my Sharpie oil paint pen to color all that in just by hand there. It'll take a few layers. Now on the back side, I forgot to press record, so it's already painted, and I totally imprinted it on my table surface there. But just using regular paint, I kind of squeegeed in the paint with just a piece of cardstock that I had laying around, or like a business card or anything like that would work. And then once it's dry, we just take off all the masking that we left on when we were etching it to reveal the amazing colors underneath. I used some Gorilla Tape to help me on the front side there. All the little pieces are annoying to peel off. But yeah, we got white on one side, pink on the other on this neon pink acrylic. To get all the little extra bits of paint that slipped through the masking tape, we'll use our number 2 Novus plastic polish and get that looking super good. Here it is in its perfection. I have one of those little bases that lights up. Check this out. Ooh, so many colors. Fancy. This next one is my favorite and a surprise, and I hope you can guess what it is. So after sanding this, I put on some extra wide masking tape. I'll have links for that down below, or you can use just regular masking tape, like if you're painting something. But this is really convenient to be all one piece. After I get it on the board, I'm going to make sure it has really good contact with like a putty knife or something you have, a credit card, some you have. But oh, can you guess what this is? I got a little bored waiting myself, played a little Miss Pac-Man. But oh, can you see what it is yet? Do you know what that is? Can you guess? Oh, I hope you know what it is. If you do, please put your favorite quote from that movie in the comments box. But we are going to hand paint this after we spray paint it, so it's a bit of a hybrid. The spray paint is going to make all the etched parts really nice and dark and black. This is a matte paint, so it has a really kind of cool effect. And now we're going to take away these masking parts bit by bit and paint them by hand and visually using, that's right, the Sharpie pens. So first we'll paint this business hair brown. Very nice. And then peeling away the next layers with a little needle, or you can use like a utility knife, something sharp that'll just help you peel these up. I'm going to paint these blood red. Yes, gorgeous. Give them a little shake if it's been a while since you've used them, of course. It's kind of got Darth Maul vibes. But now we've exposed the weird blue alien skin. Gorgeous. And we keep pulling up layers and painting. That chin part I'm going to leave bare just because I thought it was a good color for it. I might turn this into a magnet or a wall hanging. I'm not sure yet, but I'll have all these files, including this one, for sale on my Patreon page. It helps support the channel. And if you're a paid member, you actually get access to a bunch of files for free. Next up, we got plain clear cast acrylic to vector etch, which just means a low power vector cut, so it's not going to go all the way. We're just going through the paper. We're going to peel these back one by one and spray paint it to reveal different colors. If I could get this cat out of here, okay. And I'm going to decide what is going to be which color. And first, I'm going to take the black layer away and spray paint this black. I'm going to use a needle to get all those little bits out. And once we're ready to go, we're going to give it a couple of coats. So don't worry if the first few aren't perfect. And just wait a few minutes in between those coats so you don't want to overdo it. Once it's dry, I carefully take out the little bits that are left over right there. That's going to be the white layer. And after the white layer dries, I've got it all yellow here. So let's reveal what's underneath. Now you'd think everything was going to be yellow, but since we painted it white first, you'll see. Here you go. Can you believe this was just clear? And using our creative layering technique, you just kind of spray paint over everything, and whatever touches it first is the color that you'll see. So I'm just going to use some double-sided tape or something and put that on the front door, scare everyone away. Next up, I got some super cheap plywood that I had to cut down myself, which is fine. But it takes a while to get through this stuff. Depending on the wood, you always want to do test cuts so you know what power levels. I actually had to go over this 3 times, and even it didn't get perfectly cut through everywhere, but it turned out okay. We did a vector etch and a vector cut around, so we kind of have like a stencil of what colors to do where. And I'm just going to use some cheapo paints and paint that in. You can do like a paint by colors and get really creative, but I'm actually going to put just a thin, really fast layer on and paper towel it away so it just looks like a colored wood, like I stained it kind of. I liked the wood grains, so I wanted to be able to see that. If I were to make this again, I'd probably use a solid piece of wood, but since it's a bigger piece, I thought the plywood would be nice and cheap, and it was. I also am going to do the same technique to the top layer with a different color, and now I just make sure it all lines up, looks good. Now this is weird and something that's kind of fun. It's something I would do, and it's something I'm doing is using eyeshadow, not stuff that I wear, just stuff I use for crafts that I got like at Big Lots or something like that, to make it shiny. It's hard to see in here, but it's kind of got like an iridescence to it now, which is really cool. Next, we're just going to use some normal Elmer's school glue to get these together. The reason why I'm using that and not wood glue is because this is going to dry pretty clear. It looks like more than it is, but it will kind of sploop out of there a little bit after, especially I clamp it all together, because I wanted it to dry nice and solid. Where there's like big bloops of glue, I just used a little paper towel to get that, but it really does dry super clear. As you can see here, it's not white anymore. And I'm just going to attach a little wall hanging piece to the back, and then it's going to go meet all my real succulents out there. And here's my little succulent garden in my kitchen, and there they go. They can all be friends now. Now, what if we were to paint what we're going to laser out before we lasered it out? That's what I'm doing now. I'm just painting that board, gave it a few coats, made sure it's super dry. We're going to mask it off again and use that putty knife to make sure it is on there super secure, because we don't want any of the fumes and stuff discoloring it underneath. So I'm going to make some designs that are convenient when white. Using some of that Gorilla Tape, we're going to take off all the little bits of masking and keep them together all at the same time. Super convenient. When you gotta make a lot of something, painting it before you laser it is really nice. See, now these little origami boats they're done. I just need to glue the backs onto there. And these cherry blossom flowers, I was going to paint that little bit on the inside. I'll be doing that in a minute, but let's say I wanted to make a whole lot of something. So this time, making sure that the board is secured with some pegs, I'm going to etch out the little bits of inside the flower and paint them while it's still in the laser. So instead of having these all over my workspace, I'm just going to paint them now and then cut them out. And the outline should be nice and sharp. The petals will be white and that inside part will be perfectly pink. Now I've got like 4 pairs of these ready to go. So those boats are done. Here's the etched and painted flowers compared to the flower that hasn't been painted yet. I'm just going to use one of those Sharpie pens. And since that wasn't etched, you can see it looks a little bit different. So it really just depends on your design, but sky's the limit. As a bonus, I've included an additional way to get color on your projects using Rub and Buff. Now, it's not exactly a paint, but it's definitely something to make a cool effect. You just take a little dab of this stuff on your finger or a brush if you'd like, and this is just an etched piece of acrylic, cast acrylic black, and we rub that in there really good. We buff it out, rub and buff, you get it. And I left the masking on there. See, so shiny, I love it. We're just going to use that Gorilla Tape and get all the masking off of there, and using our number 2 𝗏𝘂𝗍 plastic polish, you guessed it, we're gonna clean up the edges and make them perfect for earrings. And if you know what this is, then you weren't born 10 years ago. I recommend you try it. So there you have it, a bunch of new ways to paint. Even if you've never used spray paint before, I encourage you to give it a try because it's not really that hard and it has some pretty cool effects, as well as this will be living back here now. Can you see that? Huh? Painting things by hand isn't so hard either. I hope you had fun with me today. I'd love to know what kind of projects you're working on. If you got any value out of this, please subscribe and like so you'll see more of my videos, just like the one that I'm going to be showing over here right now. Have you seen this one before? You should probably check it out. I'll see you over there. Bye. There's a cat up there. Can you see it? Okay, well, there's a cat up there. Cool.